Jai Guruji to all of you, and this is day 5. Uh, you have no idea how wonderful it feels for me to be able to share satsang. And it's just not satsang. I'm actually bearing my heart and I'm sharing my journey with Maharaj as it unfolded and as it is unfolding. So, what I'm going to talk about today is the way things started happening with us as we got connected with Maharaj. In 2004, we undertook a vacation to Sri Lanka. Me, my wife, my auntie, and two of my daughters. We landed in Chennai, and from Chennai, we had to catch a flight to Colombo. Everything was great, and as we went to the counter, just an hour before close of the counter, we submitted our passport and they issued boarding passes except for one of my daughters, Shubha, and they said, "Oh, there's a problem here. She needs a stamp from the immigration people saying that she is clear to go because there is a stamp on the passport which says immigration check required." And on us, our passport, the stamp was immigration check not required. And said, okay, then let's go through this. He said, no, no, no. You have to go to the city. And there they will stamp it. Okay. We go to the city. I did not know how far it was, but I left one daughter and my auntie at the airport, and with the elder one, I came out and just prayed to Guruji. Said, Maharaj, we are not going to ruin our vacation just for this stamp, so please make it happen. Heart of heart, I knew it is difficult, but then there is trust. As I came outside, I found an auto driver who said, "You want to go to Chennai city?" I said, "Yes." "Immigration?" "Yes." "Sit, I'll take you there." Sat in the auto and started. There were numerous red lights. This guy still maneuvered fast enough, but it took us about 20 minutes to get to that place. So we had 1 hour and 20 minutes gone. As I went to the office, I climbed up. This guy tried to tell me what is right, wrong, and the regulations. I said, "Don't waste your time and my time, sir. I have got 40 minutes to go back. Just tell me what do I do?" And he said, "Take a form. I only got one. You go down, get it photostat, get 3 copies, come back, fill it up, and give it to me." I came to the market down below, did as he asked, came back. Another 7 minutes to 8 minutes had gone, maybe 10. I filled it up, gave it to him. This guy stamps it and says, "Deposit 100 rupees in a bank which is about half a kilometer from there." And I just said, "Maharaj, what is this?" Now I leave this daughter in that office and I run because In the traffic, there was no way I could go there with the auto. So I ran and kept running. Took a finite time, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. But as soon as I entered the bank, there was this girl on the counter, and I gave that form. She took 100 rupees, stamped, and gave it back to me 10 seconds flat. But still, it was not enough. I started running back. I wasn't very young even at that time, but I did that and came back. It was another 15 minutes gone. So, what did we have now? 15 minutes left, and we had arrived in 20 minutes. So, if we travel the same path, there's no way I'm going to make it. Worse, by the time he gave it to me, I took the papers, I came down, found this auto driver waiting for me, saying, I thought you will be going back, so I'm here. I said, great. And he started. Very little time left for us to go back. And then suddenly, a miracle happened. The miracle was that in about 5 minutes of drive, maybe 7 minutes, I wasn't keeping, but very short drive, I saw a Airport Authority of India signboard and the hill which is right next to the airport. And I haven't crossed a red light. And I told my daughter, aren't we near the airport already? And we looked around and we could see aircrafts parked from a distance. I said, yes, of course. God. And I took out my money, counted, gave it to him while he was driving so that we can get out and run, and made it just in time. But just in time wasn't good enough. As we were entering, this guy was shouting at the girl who kept the counter open for us, the manager. And he says, close this counter because we can't wait. It's already time. But when he was saying this, he saw me and my daughter rushing in, coming running towards the counter. He looks at us and asks my wife, are these the two persons? And she looks back and said, yes, they are the one. And says, okay, open the counter, take their baggage, and check them in. In normal times, you try to go from the airport to the city in working day with the traffic and the red lights and get your job done and come back. No chance. But what took 20 minutes to go took about 8 minutes to come back or less. I have no idea. I still cannot believe it happened, but I trust it happened, and it happened because of Maharaj. So for Guruji, the time and space is immaterial. Just as he could be anywhere, anytime, he could put you anywhere, anytime, as he wished. And he would not let us down. That was not the only thing that happened. What made that travel memorable was that when we stayed in a hotel in a remote place, we saw, and we did not choose that hotel, we saw a booklet, and when we started flipping through the booklet, we saw that that place was very, very close to where Sita ji stayed when Ravan had picked her up, kidnapped her, and held her captive. So I said, God, we have come all the way to a place where the epic Ramayana unfolded. So We obviously asked those people, they said, yes, of course it is, please go there. We went there, saw that place, saw that valley where she was kept, and the best part is the description of that place as it is in Ramayana 5,000 years later is exactly the same. Exactly the same. I won't go much in that detail because that's not the purpose of today's satsang. But let me just give you guys who have read that story. Hanumanji has burnt down part of the garden where Sitaji was kept. Even today, there's a water flowing in the middle of that garden, and one side of the earth is black, and another side, just a meter across, is normal. So many thousand years later, a patch has a darkened earth, whereas on the other side it is normal. And there's a whole lot more, but let me leave it at that, and you can study and read in your own time. So it turned out to be a wonderful pilgrimage which Maharaj made it happen. That's our travel on vacation to Sri Lanka. This was, of course, a vacation, but traditionally, whenever we went out of town, particularly when we went abroad, we always sought Guruji's permission, and this sentence was standard: Maharaj, with your blessing, I'm going to so and so place, and Guruji would look at you, he'll smile, and then he's going to bless you. He simply say, go ahead. Either he'll say Ashkar, or he will say uh, anything else but something nice. I had joined this American company which I spoke therefore yesterday, and I was required to visit US for the first time. So very excited, came to Guruji. After Langar, as I took his permission to leave, I folded hands on my knees, bowed to him and said, Maharaj, with your blessings, I'm going to US tomorrow, day after, whatever the day. And he was pleased. He loved the idea that his Sangat is enjoying life, that they're doing well, that they dress well, that they are happy. He was he is like a mother who, when she looks at her children happy, she is happy. And he looked at me and then suddenly thought about it, says, Commander, bring 2 bottles of vitamin E tablets. I couldn't believe the Guruji is asking me to do something. That's the kind of first time in the classical sense that Maharaj asked me to do something so personal. And I obviously folded hands and said, Jai Guruji, and turned back. And I was walking away. He reminded, and then he says, Commander, bring of the latest date of manufacturing. And I turned back and folded and said, Jai Guruji. And I was in seventh heaven. I'm going to do something which Maharaj wants me to do and bring for him. Obviously, he won't need it for himself, but he finds a way to bless me and whoever will get those tablets. Bless him. I was going there for official work, but I just could not take this vitamin E out of my mind. So when I landed there, and the American colleague of mine who came to receive me, he says, "Let's go to work." And I said, "No, we will go to work after we pick up two bottles of the current manufacturing date of vitamin E." And he said, "Sure, but why?" I said, "Don't ask me. This is more important than anything else." We went there, we picked it up, and it was a wonderful trip, very successful, learnt a lot, made many friends, understood the working, came back, and on Saturday, which was my day of coming to Mandir, I had these bottles and I walked straight to Maharaj. I said, "Guruji, here is vitamin E of the latest manufacturing." And then he looked at me and then says, "Go put it in my room." We are talking about his room. You are not talking about, we're not talking about anywhere else. And nobody goes inside his room unless there is a reason for it. And there was no reason for me. He could have simply said, "Keep it here." And that would be that. But no, he didn't do that. He asked me to put it in his room, his bedroom. I walked to his room. Normally that walk will be about 15 steps. But it felt a different time zone. I was going to see Guruji's room. I used to sit by the door, normal times, next to music system, next to the cabinet, quietly, because from his room there used to be this constant flow of fragrance. Constant. It's like concentrated fragrance. Same that was there always in him, the same that was there whenever we remembered him and he wanted to show his presence to us, irrespective of the place or the country you remembered him, he would show up. And so opened the door, went inside, and I was sitting in heaven. The aura of that place, the fragrance, the look, the beauty, the grandeur, and just his presence in that room was unbelievable. So I was supposed to just leave these vitamin bottles there and step out. But you know what? I didn't do that. I wasn't going out of that place so soon. I may never get another chance, and actually never got till he was in his physical form. So I sat there on the floor, back to the wall, next to the door, facing his bed, and spent roughly 10 minutes just deep breathing. It's like just taking in all that was there. It was that air, and I always think it that way. It was that air which Maharaj had taken in and breathed out. So it had to be absorbed, and I did for 10 minutes, and then suddenly I felt worried because it shouldn't be Maharaj would turn around and say, "Get him out. I just sent him for putting bottles there, and this guy is just taking undue advantage." So I sheepishly stepped out, head bowed, as if I have stolen something, beyond what was normally my due, and quietly sat there in the corner. That was supposed to be a routine visit to US, and it became much more than a vacation, more than a pilgrimage, more than anything that I had ever imagined. That's how Maharaj made you feel. You know what? He made you feel special. We are essentially nothing, not even a speck, let alone being human. And for someone who is God of gods to make you feel so special, and that too with a personal touch, was amazing. And while I'm at it, let me just add a sentence that the way Guruji makes his Sangat feel is that Guruji has no other job except taking care of me. I mean, 24 by 7, Guruji is only thinking about me because he's so much on call all the time for every one of his Sangat. And that is why he insisted that you connect to him directly. Don't connect to him collectively. Don't connect to him as a member of a group. Okay, this WhatsApp group is connected to Guruji, or this Zoom group is connected to Guruji, or I'm connected because so and so is connected. Na, direct, one to one, with nobody in between. And that essentially is something that made me feel so special and wonderful that day. And I got another chance to go to US and went many times, but this was another opportunity. And I went to Guruji again. I said, Maharaj, with your blessings, I'm going to US. And then my auntie was standing behind as I was speaking. Guruji looks at her and then looks at me and says, did you take her to US? So before even I could open my mouth, my auntie complains, no Guruji, he never takes me with him. I was red in face. Here I am trying to explain to Maharaj as to why she does not go with me. So I mumbled few words, some excuse. I said, Guruji, something like, this is business trip, it's a short trip, and so on. But no. He wouldn't take no for an answer. So as I was trying to say all these things, Guruji looks at me and then says, why don't you take her? So, and I said, Ji Guruji, I will take her with me. And then he looks at auntie and says, he will take you. And this matter closed, but the trip was so short, and visa, this, that, travel, ticketing, booking, and to be honest, I did not take it very seriously also. Where will I keep her? How will we travel? And so on. So obviously, I did not take her. And I come back from the travel, and both of us are in front of Maharaj again. And first thing Guruji asked me, did you take her with you? Oh God, you remember, sir? And look at my face. I'm I have been caught red-handed. I have no excuse. So I try to say something, but before that, my auntie pipes up. No, Guruji, he did not take me with him. And then Guruji looks at me and says, What? What's the big deal? Just take her next time. And I said, Ji Guruji, I will. And then he turns to my auntie and says, he will take you this time. And we step out. After that, before I went for the second time, Guruji left his chola, took samadhi, and I felt miserable, of course. But few months later, I got another chance to travel to US, and it was supposed to be a 3 days trip. A day going, a day coming, and 2 days staying there. And I told her, come with me. I don't care what you put up with because it is not going to be a vacation, but you come with me anyway. And we did that travel. Difficult one, but I just remembered there has to be something. It could not be just because Guruji wanted her to travel to US. There is something about US where I had to take her. And we did that. Came back and I did the same routine, but this time it wasn't in front of Maharaj, it was in front of his samadhi. With folded hands, I said the same thing. I said, Maharaj, I have taken my auntie to US. And I had that feeling that Maharaj was happy I did that. You know, we sometimes talk about him as that he's taken samadhi and that he's left his physical form. But always and always, his Sangat treats him, and rightfully so, as a living Guru. You never speak to him about him in past tense. He, he was, he is, he will be forever, as much as you were, you are, and you will be. This relationship is permanent. It is timeless. It is void of everything else that you see, because what you see is not the reality. It is a perception of a reality, but that soul to soul connect with Maharaj is the reality. And today, when we look back, two of my daughters are in US, and I can now connect that his order for me to take my auntie to US was part of this whole future that he saw. And many times, to unlock the doors of your future, you must keep your spouse, your auntie ahead of you to receive those blessings. And I have taken, for me, I've taken that as a personal understanding. And so whenever I want to do something, or I expect something from my guru. So instead of asking him for something which I don't, I just take my auntie for a trip or a vacation or something which makes her happy. And I know that when you make your wife or your spouse happy, Guru is happy. There's a saying in our ancient scriptures. Let me first say it in Sanskrit and then I'll translate it for you. Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devta. It means wherever a woman is respected, worshipped, the gods live there. So if this is true, then the opposite should also be true. Wherever she is not worshipped, loved, and respected, the gods have no place there. They will not be around. And so, Guruji wanted USA to be part of our future, and he wanted my auntie to go there. My going there alone wasn't good enough. Her going there was important. This generally, there are many travel we undertook, many trips we undertook, but these were the important highlights of those travel. There were other times, I give you a couple of them. One of them was a trip to US again, and as we were coming back, we were in the flight, and on the taxiway, we started experiencing heavy vibrations on the left hand side of the aircraft, close to the wing. The obviously captain of the aircraft felt it also, and we stopped somewhere on the way, and aircraft was attended to, serviced, and we traveled comfortably thereafter. Everybody else, I have no idea what they were thinking, but I knew I'm in the lap of my guru. I'm not sitting in this aircraft. My guru is holding me like this, like a mother, and I slept. On another occasion, as we were about to take off, the entire power of the aircraft shut down. It was an Airbus 320, and there was a complete shutdown, and we were still not in takeoff situation. I just thought for a while that this could have happened just few minutes later, and we'll have a dead aircraft in the air. But it didn't. It was restored. Everything was recycled, checked, fitted correctly, and whatever had to be done was done. And the aircraft flew like a hawk. Beautiful. Again, I was in the lap of my Guru, our Maharaj. I wasn't in the aircraft. And on the recent trip, when we were coming back uh, last year, after the restrictions were lifted, and the first flight that we could get out, it was uh, uh, it was taken. And as we sat in the aircraft, system stopped functioning, and it took 2.5 hours for them to fix it. And we took off and headed into extremely rough weather, something that I normally don't experience, and I travel a lot. My auntie was with me, and we looked at each other, and all I told her was, your children are well settled, and we are in the arms of our Guru. Let's just go to sleep. We will see tomorrow. If we wake up, great. If we don't, great. And normally she doesn't sleep, and I don't also sleep very well on flights, even normal flights. But this 8 hours of horrible weather did not keep us awake. We slept in about 1.5, 2 hours of into our flight, and then we woke up near Afghanistan, which basically is 1.5 hours away from our landing. And we woke up, I looked at her and she looked at me, and I said, here we are. We don't fly. We are in the lap of Guru. He just holds us tight and takes us from place A to place B. And then this Shabad, which we used to listen, and I still listen, and it is one of my favorite ones, which says, Satguru Pyara Mere Naal hai, which means that this Satguru, loving Guru, is with me. It's not a question of you asking, Guruji, please be with me, Maharaj. I need you. That would be, in my opinion, a mistake. You just assume that he is with you, and you insist that he is with you. The prayer is not saying that Guruji, please be with me. It is a statement from Guru himself. It is his Shabad selection. It says, Satguru Pyara Mere Naal hai. My loving Guru is with me. Period. No discussion, no argument on this. If this is something you can etch in your heart once and for all, then you have nothing else to think about, worry about, talk about, or care about. I will leave this travel bit here, and if something I remember subsequently, I will bring it in. What I want to tell you about something that I did not mention yesterday or day before, and I would like to cover that up now. I did mention that there was a time when I joined, Guruji's photographs were not readily available. You could not get them printed outside and distribute among Sangha. They had to be given to you by Guruji or by his Sevadars under his direct orders. You couldn't get it because you want it. You get it because when you get Guru Sarup, you essentially get Guru. You bring him home. So you couldn't just pick up one. So I did not have one, and I wanted one desperately. And I used to see these people, they will have these ID card size of Swarups with a clip on, and they will put it in the front pocket, and they will show off as if they are the ones who literally have Guru sticking onto them. It felt nice that they have it, but it would have felt nicer if I also had it. So, but the time passed and I won't get it. I remember one day having langar, with my auntie and Colonel Chatterjee, uncle, one of his ardent devotee and pure soul. He is now with Guruji and we remember him very fondly. He was sitting in front of me and I said, Sir, because he is a military man, so you always address appropriately. I said, Sir, how do you get this photograph? And he said, just ask Guruji. And I said, that is not possible because I can barely stand in front of him. And you want me to ask him for Sarup? That can't happen. So he said, no, 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 I don't want you to speak to him. You just close your eyes now and simply say, Guruji, I need your photograph. That's easy. I can handle it. But I didn't believe, I did not understand the ways of the Maharaj. But I did as I was told. Right there, I just closed my eyes and folded and I said, Maharaj, I need those sarups. I also want to have one on my pocket here. I want to feel like old Shangat. And I forgot about it. And then we had langar, we went outside, we cleaned our hands, came back, and were lining up for taking Agya from Maharaj to go home. You could never leave without taking his permission. If he did not want you to come back in and take Agya, then a Sevadar will announce there is no need for you to come back. And there is an anecdote related to this. I must say it now because I will otherwise forget. None of us really wanted to go home, no matter of the time. The Guruji felt like an addiction, felt like us something that you take to always get this high. He was that stuff which made you really high. Just being around was enough. So nobody wanted to leave, and least of them me. So you hide here and you hide there. You just take agya or you do not take agya, and then you go there, you hang around, and you try to sneak in and sit at a place where you think Guruji can't see you. No, but that doesn't work with him. It never worked. I remember on so many occasions. I tell you what I tried to do on few occasions. Between Maharaj Asan and the kitchen cabinet, there was a pillar. And so there was this feeling that if you stood behind the pillar or you sat there, he won't know that you're still here. Fair enough. So you go out, you clean your hands, and there is this announcement that Gurgaon Sangat, go, please. Maharaj Agya, and then you leave. So obviously, I pretend that I'm not Gurgaon Sangat, and this instruction is not for me. So I go out and come back, and I'm behind that pillar, and I'm just trying to bend my knees to just sit down quietly without making much lateral movement, so that I just stay hidden behind the pillar. Just imagine. And I have barely bent my knees, and I heard, Commander, go home. God, you are caught. And so you don't even look towards Maharaj. You just fold your hands and quietly slip out, as if this whole thing never happened. So there is so much more to being with him in his presence than simply go there, get your problem sorted out, uh, get blessing, get your things done, and get your laundry list of things that you want in your life checked. Oh, That's the last thing in your mind. So I tried it once, I tried it twice, and then that was that. It was not happening. So wait. So you reluctantly push yourself to go home, and you keep that memory for the whole week, and there you are next Saturday lining up there. So coming back to the Sarup, I'm lined up, and there are about 7, 8 Sankat in between me and Maharaj, and Maharaj gestures towards the Sevadar without saying anything, and the box arrives. When it is my turn to take Agya, he opens the box, takes out 4 sarups, puts it on my head, closes the box, and away it goes. I don't know if anybody else received. I didn't see or notice. Just for me. Why? Because I just closed my eyes and prayed, and I realized he hears, he listens the silence, he listens what goes on in your mind, and he is aware of what even you are not aware, and he listens to what you haven't even said. Okay, and let me now this whole experience of this connect, I relate to one song from one movie. You may not know this, but I'll translate that uh, after I narrate the song. It goes like this. It is from a movie 1942 love story. कुछ ना कहो, कुछ भी ना कहो, क्या कहना है, क्या सुनना है, मुझको पता है, तुमको पता है, समय का ये पल थम सा गया है, और इस पल में कोई नहीं है, बस एक मैं हूं, बस एक तुम हो. कुछ ना कहो, कुछ भी ना कहो. Just don't read. It's not a song anymore for me. It's the way I feel with Maharaj, which means don't hear anything, don't say anything, because there's nothing to say, nothing to hear. Because this moment in time has frozen, and in this bubble, it's just you and me, and there is nobody else. That's exactly how it feels. That is exactly how it should be. So when you connect with Guru, I hope and pray you connect like that. That to you, nothing else even is visible. Not to just your eyes, but even in your feeling. Get to that point. So coming back to the satsang, as I was sharing, we had this sarup taken, and next time I will also had it. But we never had the bigger one to hang on the wall. So I got one calendar. I still have it. Uh, and traditionally, typically, my auntie always keeps all this stuff in her kitchen, because she says, this is my office and Guruji should be in my office. Okay. So she doesn't have to go anywhere. And that is how it has been. We don't have a darbar of Maharaj in our home. There has never been a need. It, because we just couldn't imagine tying him down to a place specific. Maharaj, this is where your place is, this is where you should be seated. For me, it doesn't work like that. But I'm very happy for everyone for whom it works like that. Because this is a personal connect. There's nothing right or wrong in this. Everybody must have his own connect. And my connect is like this, that there is no need for this, because I have my Guru here. I feel him here. He's with me all the time. So I can't even say, Guruji, come. Come from where? You're already here. Okay? So there was this occasion when we were given two sarups and we brought them home, and my uncle came from Meerut, which is about 70 kilometers, 80 kilometers from here, and he had darshan, and then he comes home and says, can I get a sarup like this for myself? And my auntie had kept it under a newspaper in the shelf. Uh, it's a tradition in some of our homes from earlier times that you put a fresh paper in the shelf in the cupboard, so that if there is any dust etc settles down, all you need to do is replace the paper rather than try and clean the shelf itself. So, and she said, yes, why not? And she takes out one sarup from there and gives it to him. It had a yellow mark of turmeric on it, and so she knew what she was giving. And he took it with him and gave it for framing. Few days later, I get a call from him, a very worried looking uncle, telling me, son, uh, that person who frames the photographs has lost it. We were miserable. Giving away his sarup blessed to us was hard enough, but it was okay. But to lose it as a consequence was heartbreaking. And that just reminds me of another little incident, a part of that trip to Sri Lanka. So, in case I forget, just remind me, I will cover that also. So, this sarup gone. And then we understood these sarups were given by Guruji to you for yourself. If he needed one, he had to be given one by one of his sevadars. And it wasn't time for him to have the sarup, but it was gone. We didn't forget it, but we overcame that shock. And many months later, it was Diwali, and as part of Diwali festival, you clean your entire house. And this was the time for the paper on the shelf to be replaced. And she picks up that paper in from where she had taken out that photograph and given to my uncle. The photograph was there, exactly where it was, with that yellow turmeric mark. And she comes rushing to me, Guruji, Sarup is here. We cried. Unbelievable. She was showing it to me yesterday, that this is that photograph. And I immediately called my uncle and I told him, please don't worry, don't feel bad, because Maharaj is back with us from where we picked it up. This is our Guru. Do you even have any idea what we are talking about? Who we are talking about? Now let me cover the Sri Lanka trip and a connection with the Sarup. Remember the four Sarups that I talked about, which could we had one was with me, one with my auntie, and two with the daughters. Great. They kept it with them, and the youngest one had kept this in her purse along with some of the other boarding passes, etc. Next day morning, she wakes up, screams, and rushes outside. Must have been more 9 o'clock. We felt the thought we came maybe she saw someone or something falling outside the window from the top floors, and therefore she is now screaming, rushing outside. Before we could say anything, she was back inside at peace. So wanted to know what happened, me and my auntie, both of us. And she then told us that last night, as part of the cleaning process, she had thrown those papers, including Maharaj Sarup from her purse, into the dustbin. And that was the first thing she did. Then rest of the pile was also put in that, and we had this full waste bin, and my wife, my auntie had kept it outside for the man to pick it up. Two things happened. Normally, the guy comes at 8 o'clock, but that day he did not come till my daughter realized what she had done. Because when she looked around for the photograph, it wasn't there. And then she realized what had happened. The second thing was that what she had dumped at the bottom, she found Sarup just kept on top of. So she did not search through it. It was lying right on top. She picked it up and came back. And third thing is, as she was picking it up, the garbage collecting man was approaching that dustbin. Another seconds, another 30 seconds, and that bag would be gone. So would Sarup. And if that had happened, we would not be able to forgive ourselves and overcome that for all our life. This would have been a lifelong suffering. It didn't, because Guruji will not let it happen. Because you will make mistakes. You're not perfect. You're ordinary human. But he will not let you make those mistakes. If need be, your ear will be twisted. You will be slapped a couple of times, more or less, punished. But all at home, like your mother. You will get maybe father sometimes beaten black and blue. I can connect to that. But mostly like mother. Lovingly, caringly, but not letting you make a mistake. So I will conclude today's session with just one thought which you should take away from this discussion, this satsang. It is that Guru is yours. He is aware. He is with you all the time, and he is holding your hand. All that you have to do is trust that all that I have said is true. Because if you trust, it is true. And whatever you trust is the truth. If you trust Guruji is yours, then Guruji is yours. If you trust Guruji is not yours, he is not listening to you, he doesn't care, then trust me, that's exactly what it is. So believe in him in, and believe in your acceptance of Guru. With that, thank you so much for patiently listening. Jai Guruji, you've been wonderful and patient Sangat. I'm grateful for your attention.